LGBTQ+. You know what? I miss penis. I'm the one who should apologize. WATP. WATP. I laughed my ass off. We were laughing our asses off. Bam!
Point Dabble Point. A Stuttering John Melendez roundtable discussion.
Welcome to Point Dabble Point, a weekly discussion. We get caught up on This Week in Stuttering John, post educational political memes, and unknowingly show photos of our guests' wives. I'm Karl Hamburger from Who Are These Podcasts, and with me this week from the world famous Uncle Rico show, Shuli Agar.
Thank you. Honor to be here in such esteemed company.
Didn't have a drop for me today. That threw me off.
Ka-chunk, ka-chunk.
There you
There
go.
we go. Thank you very much. Also, from Who Are These Podcasts, the great Adam Busch is joining us today.
I'm so happy to be here wearing out my welcome one podcast at a time.
Welcome, my friend. Speaking of wearing out their welcome, Jen from the Jingles department, a big part of Who Are These Podcasts, heading up our Jingles department since the get-go.
Hello.
Welcome
She's
to the
fair
show.
game now, Lady K. She's fair game.
So I've been told. Yes,
Yep.
This is true. Guys, we had a fun week this week. John came back with the second to last show ever, the political show he did with Brian Karam and Richard Ojeda. I have some clips because one of the things that we've kind of avoided, and mainly because there was so much John stuff to talk about, we don't really dig into the political stuff very much. But I wanted to show you just how much of an amateur John and his friends are when it comes to hosting a political roundtable like they think that they're doing. So I do have some clips on that, and I am pleased to announce the super tip system is up and running. If you want to participate in the show, if you want to support the show, supertip.gg/WATP is where you can go. And we've added a whole bunch of voices, including our buddy Adam Busch is on there.
Whoa.
We also have Dr. Steve on there. Anthony Cumia. The list goes on. Lisa Boswell's on there.
Where's mine?
Oh, we got to get you on there. Well, you're here. We don't need you. We need two Adams.
I'm not always here.
We just need one Jen from the Jingles department. All right. I've taken your order down. All
Thank
right.
you.
I'll be back. I'll be right back with that.
It will not be forgotten.
I'll check with the chef. Also, we have to talk about, we're just a month away from Dabble House.
Yes.
April 11th, April 12th. You see it there behind Shuli, behind the Stuttering John puppet. We are doing a live Who Are These Podcasts featuring the Kate Meany Tape Season 2. Ooh. 8 p.m. on that Friday. And I'm sure all the Uncle Rico Show guys will be there as well. It's going to be, we're going to be hanging out for the whole weekend in the Dabble House. We'll be streaming all weekend. If you want to watch Who Are These Podcasts, the Uncle Rico Show, Saturday night at 8 p.m., that's featuring more of the tapes because there's hours.
Yeah, it's gonna be
tapes.
it's gonna be the nastiest shit out of the tapes for sure. And we're not, I mean, look, it's 2 days of tapes, and we're not even gonna get halfway through the shit that we have for season 2. But we're gonna give you the best of the best for
Yes.
sure.
This is going to be the best. If you go to dabblecon.live, that's where you can figure out how to purchase your video stream, because no traveling to Rochester this time. We're making it easy on everyone. Stream from your home or wherever you like to stream your shows from on Saturday afternoon on the 12th. We are doing a viewer film festival. There's so many creative people in the Dabbleverse, so many amazing creators. We always feature them every year at the Dabby Awards. But in lieu of having a Dabby Award ceremony, we want to feature those people who are creating great stuff. The Barnes and Noobs out there, the Baloney Factories, the list goes on and on. So, Shuli, you want to talk about the theme of this?
Yeah, so we were thinking, let the creators create, and a theme we were thinking of is John's return to the Dabbleverse. Now, look, if you guys are brilliant at what you do, if you feel there's a better angle out there, by all means, no one's going to be punished by not sticking to the theme. But do whatever comes to mind. I'd say 4 minutes max is the time frame there, and and a prize for the winner.
Yes. So there will be a cash prize. I believe we have $500
500 smackaroonies to the winner
to make it worth your while. And,
yeah.
And we'll have some other prizes for people who participate in this.
Yes. No posters.
Film Festival.
No posters. I don't want to hear it.
We will not be mailing out posters and
No.
mailing them along to each of us in different states, trying to get autographs. It's not going to be none of that.
Yeah, but that is actually something I'm really the most excited about, is seeing the stuff that these guys will put together for this film festival. Or one guy. I mean, really, if one person enters, they won $500. So enter.
Yeah. It could just be Clearwater Chad. Just going, you don't mess with the Duke.
If that's it. What can I tell you?
We said 4 minutes, Chad. We said 4 minutes.
He keeps looking at his watch.
Maximum of 4 minutes. It doesn't have to be. You don't just stretch this one out, guys. You got one good joke. You want to hit it, get out, hit it, quit it, do it. All right. So what is going on with Stuttering John? Like I said, he did a show yesterday. I have a bunch of clips that we'll get into, but I also noticed that he's still up on Cameo. You can still purchase a Cameo.
Oh,
he has not filmed one since February 23rd.
Well, so somebody in our chat last night asked us to play their Cameo, and I never got confirmation of when it was from, but it was definitely one I had not seen yet. So I don't know if he's figured out how to take them down immediately or just make them private so nobody can see them. But I think he did a recent one.
Well, the way that Cameo works, and I've never been on Cameo, but they don't necessarily post every one that you put up that you did.
Right.
So there's a ton that people have sent you and me that never got posted on Cameo. We were able to play on our shows. But the Cameo itself tells you the last time he recorded a video, and it says the 23rd.
Right.
So I would assume Cameo would know, regardless of whether they posted the video or not. So is that drying up? Are people no longer interested in what the Duke, who's no longer the Duke of the Dabbleverse, has to say?
Well, first of all, his name's John Melendez. He made that clear yesterday. He's no longer the Duke, even though
a different character that is.
Even though it says the Admiral behind John Melendez, which all right, we'll get to, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I forgot what I was going to say. I'll be honest with you. What were we talking about?
I was talking about the fact that John's new career path that he decided to launch on January 2nd, because he doesn't need the Dabbleverse anymore and he's too good for it and he's above it. He's just like, I'll let people insult me on Cameo instead.
Oh, so what I was going to say is I think he's so selective about the cameos he accepts that people have stopped sending them.
That could be it, because he was getting angry.
Yes.
With some of these cameos.
He was doing his show.
Yeah.
He was doing his show.
That's his demo. Like, I don't know what to tell you. That's the feedback and the customers that are going to come your way.
He thinks there's he thinks he's going to stumble upon the way that he can take this.
Right.
There's got to be a way they can give me money and insult me, and I can take the money but not feel insulted and still act like I have the upper hand. And he just hasn't found it yet. And he's just going to keep trying until his feelings get hurt in every medium he tries and he runs away.
Frog, by the way, just let me know. He's not sure when the cameo's from, but he did send it to you. So,
great. Okay.
So you have it if you want to watch it at some point.
Excellent. I appreciate that. Thank you.
But I just think he's so picky with it. He's not a Ron Burgundy. He's not High Pitch. High Pitch made that money because he didn't reject anything. He literally read it word for word.
Welcome to Who Are These Podcasts? White Power.
That's why High Pitch.
Yeah, that's well worth the money.
Hi, this is High Pitch Eric, and you're listening to Who Are These Podcast. Chinese people smell.
Jeez.
Hey, he read it. Somebody wrote that. He read it.
He's doing all Shane Gillis's material over here. Pretty good stuff, of course. Of course, that's Shuli that I'm playing out here. That's not high pitch. I
Don't
wouldn't
put
want
that voodoo on me, Ricky Bobby. Hey, that's high
lawsuits
pitch.
coming down the pike. So John's been doing this thing. I want to talk about this political show that he did. And John gets educated on politics through memes.
Smart.
I'm not even.
Well, it saves time.
I'm not even kidding with you. So this comes in from Dabblers Anonymous because I don't see any of the stuff that John's posts. I don't think we're friends on Facebook, and I've
Why?
been blocked on Twitter or X or whatever. But John posted, I had a friend of mine who sometimes thinks he knows it all say to me, why are you posting these anti-Trump memes? Why not do something about it if you're so pissed? Punctuation's all wrong on that. I said, you mean like educating the public with these memes, doing a political show sometimes 2 times a week, and running for the Senate? He said, oh yeah, sorry. I love posting conversations I have where I win them. That's one of my favorite things to do is to let people know that I won a conversation.
Did you guys see me win that conversation?
And I love that the friend immediately, like a dog, rolls over and shows its belly. Yeah. Oh, so sorry, John. Yes, I'm sorry. Backs out of the room politely.
So John doesn't understand that these political memes, and I'm going to show you examples of them because he uses them in the conversation with Brian and Richard.
Well, everything he uses is somebody else's,
Yes.
or was seen on something else. It's never his own.
But the guy goes, why are you just posting these memes, John?
Yeah.
You're so passionate about it. Like, do something real. And his response is, well, I am doing something real. I'm posting memes. Like, that was the first example he gave of the stuff that he's doing. He's like, no, that's the thing he's criticizing you about, idiots.
That's called slacktivism.
It is slacktivism, yes.
My
He
mother
really thinks he's doing
is an
something.
older woman, and I'm so proud of her for being able to like text and communicate and use the computer in any way. She can just handle email, and her relationship to these devices and these means of communication are just like John's. She mostly texts through emojis. That's pretty much the only way she communicates, and it's very adorable. And John's the same way. He's like, well, that said what I wanted to say, so I'll just put it out there, and it's the same thing. It's not the same thing. Remember when he got upset because of his brilliant Kanye's an ass joke that somebody else?
Yes.
He felt like they stole it from him. He didn't bother to search it beforehand, but when he does it, it's art and it's political activism. Didn't he get paid to do the political show? Doesn't he accept money for that or not?
Not much. So
But he is taking money, right?
Correct.
Sure.
Right. So he's accepting money to do a political show, and he was begging for donations to run the Senate, and that's his service. Why don't you try doing something you don't get paid for?
Well,
Yeah, and doxing his guest's family is a lucrative, revenue stream for him on that political show.
one of my biggest problems with John claiming this political show, because when he was doing it before, he was just like, I have to get Trump out of office. It's my mission. That's when he was doing the political show before he was like in the Dabbleverse or whatever that was. And one of my problems with it is there's no open-mindedness or discussion or debate about maybe this one guy on the right said something that's correct, or they have an interesting idea about this thing or that thing. So you're not going to bring in the other side that doesn't agree with you. It's impossible.
Right.
If you sit down and watch these chuckle fucks talk about how the Dems are perfect for the first, 30 seconds, you go, okay, it's one of these fucking shows. It's Midas Touch Brothers without the production.
Well, we've talked about this before too, where he reads the headline,
Right.
if he does that even, but
then-
doesn't read the article.
Well,
So,
he'll literally ask Brian to explain it to him. 'Cause
Yes.
he doesn't understand.
which, as long as he knows what he's talking about, it's better than not doing anything. But maybe if you're going to do a show about politics, you should read the article
Well, but my
or
point,
do some research.
my point is that he's only preaching to the choir. He's never going to convert anyone if he's not willing to have an open conversation or a person with a different point of view on the show to debate with him. He will never, ever do that.
It's a level of stupid of a guy being told the memes you post do nothing, and his response is, "Hey man, at least I'm posting these memes,"
Right.
And it's like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. You're not changing anything. There's no discussion. You guys never drop the ball. There's never a fumble on your part.
Right. I think what his friend is saying here is like, oh, yeah, sorry. He's like, oh, yeah, I forgot you're an idiot. sorry even started the conversation with you. This was a waste of everyone's time.
Oh, they turn around and you realize, oh, I didn't know. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's you, John. Okay.
Yeah. He's so out of touch with the internet that he doesn't know that someone posting political memes and thinking that's activism is a meme of people his age. It's a joke. It's a punchline. It's not doing something. Saying I stand with Ukraine while sitting down doesn't mean anything.
What if you have it on your T-shirt, though?
I was just going to bring up a T-shirt.
He wore it on the political show yesterday.
So far, all of his money that he's made on his political show, he's put back into the show by buying 2 shirts of every political shirt. So,
right. He has to have the Biden shirt twice.
The dark Brandon.
And he says he makes plenty
It's like
of
a
donations.
meme on my body.
Oh, that would be an interesting thing to sell to idiots like John. Like meme merch.
I'm sure he's got some, don't you
You
think?
could target people based on the meme that they're posting.
Oh, okay.
Holy shit, I just came up with $1 billion. I'm out of the fucking Dabbleverse, everyone. See ya!
You know what's next? Like they used to put on boxers' backs, Golden Palace.
Right.
You put it on his forehead. Some with a T. So it blends in with what's already up there.
It's too bad he couldn't get like a church to do it because you get the cross right there in the middle.
I got Tinder right there. Done.
I love it. Just the last thing on this post I want to talk about is he's taking credit for running for the Senate. Did John ever run for the Senate? Did he ever get on a ballot anywhere? Was he?
Nobody asked people to write him onto the ballot. So
He also asked for money.
Yeah.
He wanted people to
He
give
was
him money.
offering a shirt, Carl.
Yeah. You buy the T-shirt, he wins the election. That's how it works, Carl. Didn't you hear him
duh,
explain
Carl.
it very clearly?
I forgot about that.
Did
yes.
you not hear that pitch when he told Cumia he
Right.
will erase all his criminal record when he becomes a member of Senate?
Anthony, you got to vote for me. I'm going to be the most corrupt politician ever.
Oh, man.
Why wouldn't you vote for me? What's the problem? It's still incredible.
He wasn't on the ballot, so therefore he did not go vote that day. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Because I'm
Just
not
like
on
he
it. So
didn't
I'm not
donate
gonna
to
vote.
Scott the Engineer's GoFundMe.
Right.
But, he
But
told
to
other
your
people about
to
it.
your point, Carl, I had a really interesting experience. I listened to the Anthony Cumia show on WABC, and I'm listening, and he said some shit that I thought was so fucked up, and I did not agree with at all, and it made me mad. And then he said some shit, and I was like, well, he's got a point here. I definitely agree with him about this. And then he said some other shit that I don't even know how I feel about. I'm still trying to process. And I realized halfway through this, oh, I guess that's what entertainment and education and radio is supposed to be. A place where you get confronted with ideas that you might not know or might be different, and you process them and decide how you feel about them on your own without hearing somebody else's opinion. And I can also listen to him and pick and choose what I agree with and what I like, and not define a person by the one issue I either like or don't.
And you could even call into the show and argue with him over something that he said that you disagree with. And
Oh, really? He doesn't just give you a monologue and then say, "What say you?" and wait in silence? He doesn't do that?
Correct. He's
that's
willing
weird.
to have a conversation with people, differing opinions. All right, I want to thank the people who are supporting the show, and then we'll get into our package for the day. But first, Dang Lizard is over on supertip.gg/WATP. And he says, The Duke, a one-man show, part 1, the beginning, today at 6 p.m. Eastern at dang.lizard. See the story of the Dabbleverse reenacted starring Clearwater Chad.
Yes. Now we're talking.
I will definitely.
I'll tune in.
Yeah, we'll get off by 6. No problem, Dang.
Now we're talking.
You got to put
exciting.
Clearwater Chad at the beginning of that. You got to put him at the beginning before the title, because we should have heard that going in. You have to lead with that.
Yeah, put
Tom
your star
Hanks
on the
in.
marquee.
Yes, thank you. Right. Clearwater Chad is
as
the
you've
Duke.
never seen it before.
Uh-huh.
Hi, Karl Heberger. That's Heberger. Here to remind everyone that Vince the Midget has a spectrum disorder.
The only thing I hate more than basketball Americans and Shuli's is Stuttering John.
That was the real Anthony right
That
there.
sounds
job.
exactly like him.
Great job, boss.
Pretty good. James Q. Legend says, "Who are these people? Where is Morseverse? There's no Morseverse on this channel."
So it's Homa's on TSN.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck
Yeah.
with that. Says, Adam, is it true you live next to Joel Rifkin?
And he went to the same high school as I did. He's a famous serial killer who killed a bunch of people and buried them in his lawn. And he had the same high school Spanish teacher that I did. And I was reading about him as a high school teacher, as a high school kid. And he said the first homicidal thoughts he ever had were for his high school Spanish teacher. And I looked it up, and it was the same one I had. And she was a very, very mean person who dressed all in black and loved to like pick on you and humiliate you. I had lots of fights with her. So one day when she was picking on me, I said, "Mrs. Viteri, is it true that you had Joel Rifkin as a student?" And he said the first homicidal thoughts he ever had were about you. And I got suspended.
Suspended for that? Is it because you said, "Is it true," when you knew it was true?
Yeah, and because she started crying and ran out of the room, and it became a whole scene. And
Wait, did she really get upset about that?
Yeah, she did, and she had never shown any emotion up until that moment.
Good for
He
you,
broke
buddy.
her. He broke her.
Well
Wow.
done.
Wow.
She made us go around the room and say what you wanted to be when you grew up, so she could then explain to you why that wasn't going to happen. And none of this was in Spanish.
That's
I don't
what I
know
would do
what
as
it
a
was.
teacher.
Wow, what a great teacher.
That's what I would do too. Crush people's dreams.
She said to
Squash
me,
your
"Oh,
hopes."
so what are you going to do when acting doesn't work out? Are you going to become a cowboy?" Which is kind of funny.
Oh, sounds like my dad. This is great.
And Adam's
Clearly
like,
gotten over it, and thanks for bringing it up, Chatter.
Adam's like, I'll let you know, by the way, I'm going to be off the next 3 months. I have a Nickelodeon show that I'm filming, but then I'll be back.
You'd be surprised. You can star in a TV show and still be a loser in high school. They find a way. You'd be
No
surprised.
shit.
Yeah.
Good for you, buddy.
Thank you.
Yeah, we had in our
Breaking
school
ground.
that kid from Small Wonder was in our school, and they,
Really?
Oh,
they-
yeah?
yeah, they used to fuck with him. Oh yeah.
Luigi Greenberg, $5 says, "Where do we submit our films? I already have 3 ready." That's fan-fucking-tastic. We should talk about where to submit these films.
I mean, you could send it to the Rico email for now, and then I think we'll set up a special film festival email or something.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
So the Uncle Rico Show Pod at Gmail, the Uncle Rico Show Pod at gmail.com.
Or WATPshow@gmail.com.
There you go.
That'll work as well.
Oh, and one other film festival question from Cardiff.
Yes.
Is nudity allowed in the film festival? He wants to know.
I would say yes. That's the beauty of the paywall here. It's not by YouTube's terms of service. We can do whatever the fuck we want.
Okay.
I mean,
Well, there you
Jenny's jugs. Who knows what's gonna happen?
Never know.
That's why you got to tune in.
It's gonna get wild. 2 short long dogs with 5 pounds says, Adam is giving off Michael Keaton vibes from Batman. Karl, you are punching way above your class with Jenny. How are you doing? Oh my God, I cannot read right now. How you doing, Jen? Ever seen Big Ben?
Oh boy.
I'm not sure what that's referring to.
I think it's the clock.
I think
I've
it's
been,
his
I've been
cock.
to London. I have
You
seen
have?
it. Yes, I have.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's what he's talking about.
No.
You think it's
and I was
hitting on
going
you?
for Michael Keaton and Johnny Dangerously.
That is a better role. I give you that. Diablo Sandwich says, "Is John's attempt to reinvent himself part of his inevitable pitch to the Midas Touch Network?" I actually have that in my notes. I want to go
That's good.
through that.
Well,
seems likely.
Yeah, that's good.
can I throw a theory out?
Please.
I was thinking about this. Apparently, he's dating this hot attorney now.
Does he bring that up ever?
I think did he mention he went to Key West together or something, I think.
Okay.
Anyhow, he maybe he's cleaning it up for her. Maybe she's got him on the right track.
Cleaning it up. This fucking guy. He's so bad at doing a political show.
I mean, he wouldn't do it for his kids. He wouldn't do it
Exactly.
for his
Right.
wife. He's
Exactly.
going to do it for himself or not at all. So he's not doing it.
Is
Well-
this the second lawyer he's dated? He dated a lawyer before, didn't he?
Well, I don't
Talking
know
about
if Vince,
Michael Popak?
and I don't know if Vince is practicing right now or not, but no, he is shallow enough for a piece of coos, you know, for the right looking, dame on his arm.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of shitbag that he is. He wouldn't do it for his family,
Correct.
but he would do some. I don't know. I don't think he can do it, but he would. I'm saying he would make more of an attempt today if he had a hot chick who was into him. Yeah, I think that.
Well, here's the Perry Caravello scenario.
Go ahead.
We get him to think that Howard, right before the end, right before he goes out, Private Parts 2.
I love
And
it.
instead of taking place during the time where John wasn't there, it's only the time he was there.
Yes.
John,
Love it.
we need you to play John. But Howard sober, the director's sober. It's a dry set. There are bands that are like that tour, and they're like, we're a dry crew. That's what we do. That's what they're doing. That's what he wants. You have to be tested every day. You can't fuck up. Will he be able to do this? And let's just film it and stand back.
I love it.
I mean,
It's a great idea.
that's Einstein level genius.
Adam's going to submit that to the film festival.
I love that.
Adam got the $500. All right.
That's if somebody could make that, that's $500 right there.
That's brilliant right there.
Wow.
Well, here's a question for you guys. John announced that he was going to do one more show March 1st, which he did with Richard Roper. Which, by the way, that fucking show, the guy hasn't seen a single movie. He's going to do a show about the Academy Awards. It's amazing.
Oh my God.
The confidence this asshole has.
Well,
So misguided.
it's so true because this is countdown to nothing. You know, we got 2 shows left.
Right.
Before what? Before what?
So
You're
that's
already
my
gone.
question. He did a political show yesterday. He says he has one more political show. Why? Why is he just doing? He just wrote in that post I just posted. Sometimes 2 political shows a week. I thought he's trying to change hearts and minds over here. Why is he just doing one more episode?
He's done his work.
Yeah, I think it's going to be such a good show that he's gonna fix it all.
Right.
It's all going
That's
to be
how
done.
I've been trying to do that at WATP for 8 years now.
Well,
Still haven't
two
accomplished it.
With
You don't
2
have John's
shows
chops.
left. Yeah, with 2 shows left, now I'm going to change my persona and be be John Melendez.
Right.
Because I only have 2 shows left. Fucking just idiot.
No, you're right. That makes sense. The only reason would be some kind of political gig because they wouldn't want to have that anymore as his name. They wouldn't refer to that anymore. So it would have to be John Melendez.
Right.
That makes sense. He's just like Opie. He thinks they're so paranoid delusional. They think everyone is watching all the time. Everyone he's ever met or admired is always watching and hanging on every word they say.
Adam, do you remember it was only a few months ago that John goes, I know Howard Stern listens to my show.
Yeah,
I
he
know
meant
he's a
it.
fan. And they started talking to Howard directly on a show. And before that, for years, and we're going back, we're going to do a bonus show tomorrow, Living in the Past with Stuttering John. Even in this podcast back in 2018, he would say, I know Baba Booey listens to my show every day. And then gives Howard ideas about what I'm going to do. And it's a great comparison to Opie, Aaron Imholt. Like, these guys think that there's radio executives tuning in just to be like, yeah, this guy's still got it. We got it. We got to offer. We got to get him back on the air.
Well,
thing
Howard.
is, there could be a couple that are, but not for the reasons that he
Yeah,
thinks.
no, that is true. That is true.
Very true. But Howard did make a comment did you know this? Last week he made a comment about John?
No, it's here.
No.
Stuttering John is a backstabbing cunt.
Oh.
I don't have
Is that
the
an
rest
official
of it.
statement that he put out?
You know what? I'll look for the other half of it. I don't know where it went.
That is a
Sorry.
great drop right there. So can you frame Jen better, Karl? I just did. Don't worry about it. You don't appreciate her jiggles because you're just do it, but the audience does. Go play your mandolin, Clubfoot McFruity. I love you guys.
Point.
Strong.
He is bringing some good points. Reverend Billy says, how much of the profit goes to Kate? She had 2FSJ.
She didn't.
Yeah, she not only did she not have to, well, she effed him by recording the calls for a second time.
Yes.
That's the only effing that went on.
It would really torture John if there was a GoFundMe to thank Kate Meany for providing us the tapes. If it just sat there, no one did a lot, but just the joy people would get donating to that, knowing how that would infuriate him, and he would be more aware of what that number is at than Kate would. He'd be watching
Good
that.
idea. Are you writing this down, Jen? These are good ideas.
I got
I'm no producer,
Kate-a-thon.
Chris.
We do a Kate-a-thon, like Jerry's,
Yes.
MDA telethon, and we
Because
just
she wouldn't ask, and if you asked her, she'd say, "Don't do it." But she deserves something. Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean? She really
me
does.
and you, Karl, we host it 24 hours. We book acts.
Yep.
Stevie Lou comes in, does a ventriloquist.
I play the
thing.
mandolin for 3.5 hours. Right. Yeah.
And then Adam does. We figure out what Adam's good at. Whatever.
I want to thank 1971 Puffy, 99.99.
West Coast.
Share with your friends, Mr. Shuli and Lady K. Thank you very much, 1971 Puffy. You're the one who keeps this show happening.
That's right.
Kip Smith, Adam, activate unhinged mode. Are all Jews bad?
They're not bad. They just have this quality that's just it's not for me.
It's exhausting,
it's
right?
a lot.
It's a lot. Like, you got into that industry and you're like, oh, fuck. Everywhere I turn.
It's just they need to settle down.
They do.
Beef Drippin' says, sup crew, Rico Simp here, by the way, of WATP. Respect. Thank you, Beef Drippin'.
The one and only Beef Drippins.
Leo says, default liberals, Breitbart's brilliant coinage, live in, oh boy, what is that?
Solipsistic fantasy, which is why they invent scenarios to respond to, hate hoaxes, and why they love power fantasies like Marvel movies.
Ooh.
So those are some big words in there.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what they mean, but they sounded good all together.
I was going to say, I think he's right just based on his vocabulary.
Let's just assume he is.
Yeah. Thank you, Leo. Thank you for the $10.
Well said.
Kip Smith, celebrating my 57th third super chat. Well, thank you, Kip Smith. Appreciate you having 57 third super chats. Grim Aaron, $5 says, I absolutely love everyone on screen, but Jenny is my number one.
Hi, Grim.
Can't wait for Dabble Hoist. You should be proud for taking more of my money. Fuck John.
Yep, fuck John.
I'm proud of a lot of things, but that's probably top of the list.
I like that nobody has to worry about flights, hotels, sitters, putting the pets up in a kennel, all this shit. It's all pain in the ass. You watch it at your house, on your phone, whatever the fuck you want to do. Just relax and enjoy the show.
I streamed the last one, and I had the best time, and it was phenomenal. And it's fun to be able to stop, handle your business, come back to it. Everything's still there. It was really enjoyable. I think
that's the other thing. Once you order it, you can watch it anytime after, right? I mean, people could still watch if you ordered the Dabbies and all that. You could still watch the old one.
Yeah, and I will say that we're going to let people know the area that we're going to be in Florida, and we probably will do some type of meetup thing on Thursday night if there's locals or if people are traveling there. We'll be out and about. We'll figure that out. DPM $5 says, tough to starve out Shuli when you feed him these tasty podcast snacks with a side of Ojeda. Way to stick to your guns, SJ. I know. He's so stupid.
He showed us.
Yep.
That was my favorite thing of his show the other day, where he started out, the somber announcement. No more Dabbleverse, not talking about it. And then right away, because with my credits, and he pulls in the picture, the newspaper article, and starts giving his list.
Yep. We're going to get into that in just a moment. Painkiller says, put Jenny on top, please. Super chats are in the way. Good point.
This is how, this is the same route Steel Toe went. That's all I'll say. Soon you two are going to be in a hot tub.
Get a bikini, Jack.
You're going to be in a hot tub.
Oh, no. You might be right about that. Arthur Jackson. Karl, will there ever be another run of your Rochester hot sauces? The website I got it from last year no longer has them. Can't live without them. We sold out of those pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So he might want to do those again. They're fantastic.
They were delicious.
I still have some. Haha, I still have some.
What an asshole.
No, Silk City hot sauce. They do a great job. Akumugan, $5 Canadian says, will the film prize money be adjusted to country? If not, I'll look forward to possibly winning $3,000. Yeah, we'll give you $500 American dollars. So whatever that works out to be in the 51st state, it's all yours. Zach Hoffman says, Demure John from yesterday is my new favorite John. Do you think his mother bought the copyright for Stuttering John? More Jenny equals more gooder. Oh, is that why? Zach. That's why he can't use Stuttering John anymore. His mom owns that and his house. Is that the theory that we're going with? I kind of like it.
Did he buy the house back?
He did for $10.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah. Hey, Skinny Chad coming in on the super tip system, supertip.gg/WATP.
Ha. New Dabbleverse D&D comic out now. Jenny Jingles eclipse-inducing bust featured. At Conspire a Theory. So funny your club toes will curl, so you know I've seen it already.
Just do eat.
Of course, yes, Conspire a Theory does some fantastic artwork. Some of it's displayed on our walls here, and you can check out his latest stuff on his X account. All right, let's get into this package, because I know you guys played a little bit of this on Uncle Rico show last night. And so I was going to skip over the intro, but then there's just too much to talk about. So
the intro was the one thing we didn't like, the beginning, his new intro.
Right.
Yeah.
So when we play the new intro, I put Isto's music over it so we don't get a copyright strike from Mr. Melendez, but I'm sure it's one of his band's songs that's playing here. Look at that face. Who made this for him? Someone is clowning him? Why are they using this image of him? This is his show. This is like the beginning of the Uncle Rico show.
That's his comedy face. That's his dance. I'm dancing and doing that gorilla thing. That's one of his signature famous moves that he did at the wedding that Gary always said was funny. That's part of his act. You got to understand the lore here.
It's hilarious. So now it's the John Melendez podcast. He's rebranded it, even though there's only going to be 2 episodes ever that he's going to go away.
Well, I know that face. That's his one too many acting reel face there. That's half the movie is him making that face. Yeah.
All right. Now, this is the intro. And then we're going to see it just go to black for quite some time.
Oh, good.
So this is how his show goes.
Smooth.
John will not read or put up any Dabbleverse related super chats.
Management.
Management.
Yeah, good stuff.
And just all black silence. Cause
hey, everybody, how are you?
There he is.
He's got a fresh haircut. Why wouldn't he do that for the beginning of his show?
Well, because that lawyer's running his shit now. You know what I'm saying? She's telling it. Wow. Yeah.
This is from Dabblers Anonymous.
Yeah.
And it shows you how much work the filter is doing in StreamYard. This should be an advertisement for StreamYard. They should use this.
Older people can't tell when things are photoshopped, and John doesn't see that his face is working so hard, this filter, that it's stretching him. Like it's stretching the image into like a fisheye lens. Like it's it's contorting it. Like that's how you know something is fake, when you see those kind of tells. All he sees is the absence of wrinkles. And I just got to add, there are so many words on his screen right now. It's like a book.
Why did he switch to the Admiral? Because he's got a boat? Supposedly.
Oh, yeah, because he bought the boat. I was trying to remember why he became the Admiral. That's right. He bought a boat. Supposedly.
He's admirable.
Oh, okay.
All right. So John,
he does look like a Wayne Newton impersonator. You know.
Yeah.
He couldn't get the exact surgery Wayne got, but you know he's getting close.
Dude, this is like a wax museum version of John Melendez.
There's a word for that. It's like uncanny valley. Is that what that means? Where just this is not real. You know something here is not human, and he doesn't look like that.
Step right up, Ripley's Believe It or Not. We have a full wax museum.
The melting man.
John. He's stuttering John as he sees himself.
Yeah.
The man with 9 stains. Come check it out.
Yeah, I saw Mike Morris could not get over all the shit that's going on in his shirt over here.
A lot going on over there.
All right, so this is how John starts off this show.
Welcome to the John Melendez podcast, and this will be the second to last show that I shall be doing. This is not Dabbleverse. I'm out of the Dabbleverse. Mm-hmm. I would like to stay out of the Dabbleverse. I have no desire to talk nonsense with these people that are way beneath me.
So, Adam, I wanted to actually make a note on this. We should probably talk about this offline, but WATP on Wednesday, let's start off talking about what we're not going to do. You know, rather like what we've been doing is like saying like, oh, we're going to talk about Lisa Boswell. Opie said something stupid. I got Ethan Klein coming up in a little bit. Instead, let's just be like, guys, here are the things we won't be covering because I don't want to talk about them.
Well, no, this is actually good, Karl, because I've been accused of being very bitter about my divorce and hung up on my ex-wife, and a lot of people think that I'm not over it. So I would like to just show them all once and for all that I am over it by opening the show and explaining how much I'm over it and how I'm not going to talk about her and how I don't care about her and I don't think about her and I have no feelings about her left. I think that's a good way to show everybody that I'm done with that.
Okay, cool. So I won't prep anything. It sounds like you have a lot to say.
I have a lot on my mind.
Okay, good.
Thanks.
And also, we will not be talking about my teeth.
Right.
That is something that will not be tolerated.
Okay.
Jen will not be in a bikini, so tune in.
What a bizarre way for John to prove he's not in the Dabbleverse by immediately addressing it. And like, you just do your show, man. And you know that Richard and Brian are backstage in StreamYard watching this.
This is performative, John, right?
Right.
He wants to show these guys, look how much I've grown up since the last time we did this. Look how professional I am about this. But he can't even do that because right away he's got to bring in his evidence, Exhibit A.
Yes, here's Smug John.
I mean, when you leave Howard Stern, and this is the whole page of the newspaper with me, Jay, and
how old is that? The color of the paper is the same as the color of his face.
First of all, understand it's within arm's reach.
Yep.
Right?
He's ready to go with that. Yep.
Ready to go. And I got news for you. It's obvious he planned it for this show, but I think it's always within arm's reach, no matter where he goes.
You know what we haven't seen in a long time, Shuli, now that you mentioned that? His college diploma.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Is he still wearing his class ring?
I don't know.
Wait a minute.
I'm not sure.
Interesting. He doesn't know where his vehicle's insurance is. He doesn't know where his SAG card is. He can't find his Mensa card.
My class ring.
It's all at Vegas beer sales, Jerry's house still.
But this is right there at the ready.
There's definitely some paperwork on the floor of his garage, as we saw in the furniture photos.
Yep.
in Howard Stern. As Artie Lang once said, John, you can't be mad when two icons are fighting over you.
Artie Lang, the guy who's a heroin addict that you hate and is a piece of shit. Oh, okay. We liked when he said that. Okay.
But he'll quote him word for word when it has to do with him.
Yep.
So I don't know anybody else who had this when they left, and this is not the only article. But
okay, Grandpa.
Look at him. Look at how smug he is.
I hate smug John.
It really is obnoxious. Howard was right a long time ago when he said he's obnoxious.
You said he's saying this for the benefit of Karam and those guys? It's to like impress them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Karam is like met every president since he's been alive, and like they know him by first name, any party. He's like a real White House reporter, and he knows who John is. He doesn't need to be reminded. They got it. They got it. If you were really over it, you wouldn't be talking about it. You just start the show and maybe, just maybe, start it with something interesting to say about politics.
Yeah, that might be a good way to ease into a political show.
Well, getting out of the Dabbleverse usually doesn't require you to say Dabbleverse at least 3 or 4 times in the first 1 minute.
Correct.
Right.
I also want to point out, it's just kind of interesting. He's got this article up that he's all proud of. The image of Howard is 4x the size of John in this. The headline doesn't have John's name, and the sub-headline, or whatever you call that, also does not have John's name, and it just says
Sidekick.
Snag's Sidekick.
It's an article about Stern and Leno.
Right.
And the headline says Stern and Leno. And then it's a big picture of Stern. And John is referred to as sidekick in the last little word there.
Which is more than he deserves.
And he still doesn't realize what was really going on and what this was about. He thinks this is about him.
Yeah.
Well,
the reason why it's a sidekick because they can't write revenge fuck in the Washington or the New York Post.
Well, I tell you, when John drops dead, it will say Stern and Leno in bigger words than his name.
Yes, correct. You might know him from such places.
Exactly.
Not the Stuttering John podcast.
I mean, don't be mad. That's your credits, John. That's what you talk about all the time. That's what you're known for.
John's inventing new credits. I don't know if I've ever heard this one before.
First stuttering announcer in late night history, and the first announcer of Puerto Rican and Danish descent in late night history.
Is that even true? the first
could you
announcer
know?
of Puerto Rican and Danish descent. So it's like, I'm the first podcaster named Karl Hamburger. Where's my fucking medal? Like, you just, yeah, it's very specific to you. What, is that a category we should know about?
Didn't Ed McMahon have a little Danish in him?
And how have the Danes acknowledged this, John? How have they presented this to you?
They changed the flag.
Yeah, a little brown right in the corner.
Yep.
Key to the city. Let's go.
All right. This next clip, listen carefully, because this is going to show how dumb John is when it comes to politics and how he just regurgitates what other people say without even understanding the meaning of the words that he's using.
But we're going to speak about different people, one from South Africa and another one whose parents was an immigrant from Scotland and whose wife is not from this country, but apparently those illegal immigrants were okay. Because let's face it, they're a bunch of hypocrites.
Wait, so Elon Musk came here illegally? He's an illegal immigrant? I think that someone would have pointed that out by now if that were the case. And Melania Trump was an illegal immigrant?
I don't care about any of it. I'm so insulted by the fact that he's trying to have this Bill Maher, real-time feel to the end of this statement as if, all right, new rules. He's like, you're like, fuck off. You're terrible at this. You're literally repeating something either someone said to you on the phone or you heard or read, but most likely watched. Who am I thinking? Reading.
Yeah, I know.
Obtaining.
It was a meme that he saw, but I just
Exactly.
love how smug he is. When he said, "Oh, but they don't like these illegal immigrants." Like, no one wants illegal immigrants,
right?
Who's
I don't
for
think
that?
I don't think he understands how immigration works.
Obviously not.
I don't think he's aware of the process. And the best part was that when referencing hypocrisy, he pulled up his shirt that does not say hypocrisy police, John. It says, I stand with Ukraine. So
Yes.
showing us the shirt makes no sense.
Oh, but that's his move, though, Adam. But he's out of the Dabbleverse. But that is his move when he was in the Dabbleverse.
Is he showing the shirt or is he picking up his tits? 'Cause-
Can it be both?
Yeah, I mean,
All right. So this is another thing that I don't think he should be saying before bringing his guests on.
And now let's get to my great friends who I am always indebted to for being loyal and for doing this show and not succumbing to the morons that try to bully them from not coming on my show.
So, I mean, aside from the grammar, we could talk about that. I cannot fucking talk. But also, why amplify that? He's so dumb. Why would you bring up the fact that people are trying to bully Richard Ojeda and Brian Karam and tell them not to do John's show? Like, don't bring that up. You might have conversations behind the scenes with those guys, like, hey, I know you get a bunch of notes from people and stuff. I appreciate that you're coming on the show. Either way.
But also, you're complimenting two people for being loyal and not giving up when you did just the opposite. You gave up and you ran away, and these guys, went on to deal with shit. You're gone. You don't have to deal with it, but they still do, because they were your friends. They were associated with you, right or wrong. It's just the Dabbleverse. It's how it goes. So he's sitting there going, you guys are the bravest and the most loyal, and this is my second to last show. So thanks for coming on.
Right. Yes. Yeah, there's no other way to say it than John ran and hid from the Dabbleverse. The fact he's just like, oh, I'm too good for this shit. You weren't for over 2 years. It's all you talked about on a daily basis for $2 super chats. And now he's pretending like, I left on my own accord. No.
Shuli slowly walking to the concierge is running away.
Right.
But him taking his actual ball and leaving is a heroic act of sacrifice.
Yes.
We're so immune to this stuff. We forget. This is supposed to be a talk show. And he introduced his guests and didn't say a fucking word about them. He didn't say one thing. They're a guest on a political show. If I was going on Bill Maher and he introduced me as, this guy is so loyal. When I needed money, He was there for me. He gave me a ride to the airport. And when everyone in town told him that I was a piece of shit and shouldn't be trusted, he looked the other way. My friend Karl. What the fuck? Like, who wants to step into that?
It's worse than that because Richard Ojeda is running for Congress. That's the thing that you would be like, and a future congressperson from North Carolina, Richard Ojeda, we want to get out the word to vote for him. And you're right, it's all about his relationship.
They don't exist
not about them.
outside of how they make him feel and his relationship with them. They have no life outside of that. And I think he's trying to put on a big show of like showing them that I stick it to these guys and I stick up for you and I tell them to leave you alone.
Yes.
It's part of the first part was a show. Now this part's a continuation. And last, I'll get to your measly little credits of who you guys are and what you do.
Right.
He doesn't even really know. I don't think he really knows like what they do or what happens in their lives when he's not around.
I don't think he cares.
No, he
I don't
doesn't.
think he's probably ever watched Richard's podcast.
Oh, I guarantee he hasn't.
He's not watched any of their material.
Right.
Well, here's a better question. If these two guys stop doing his show, does he still do a political show?
How would he?
Exactly.
I'm going to demonstrate that John has no business hosting a political show. This was the thing that Hal Sparks said. And it got back to John, which is why I know about it. But Hal Sparks said he got tired of carrying John's show. He's like, oh, I want to be a guest on that show. I have to carry that show. And I'll show you an example where Brian Karam is stepping up into that Hal Sparks role where you just say a phrase and then that person talks for 5 minutes straight. Mm-hmm. It's not, I've never seen a talk show like that before. I see these shows that do very well, like Piers Morgan and shit like that. And you have a panel of guests on and they disagree with each other, and Piers introduces a topic, and he lets the one person talk, and they get 45 seconds, and then the next person rebuts, and it's a conversation.
Yeah.
I can't imagine a show where just one person's talking to the other two guys for 5 minutes straight, and they're just staring at him like, okay. If John was paying attention to anything, he'd be able to interject.
Right.
And add to it, or challenge his guests, or whatever, something. So this is how the show starts. And John doesn't ask questions. He constantly says he has questions for them, but they're not really questions ever.
I'm going to start with the shirt that I'm wearing, and I'll get your opinions. But this is the first thing that happened, is the I Stand With Ukraine shirt. I never thought in our lifetime, Brian and Richard, we would see an administration openly admit that they side with Putin and that they really bully Vladimir Zelensky, a man who fights on the ground for his people and the country that got invaded by an imperialist prick known as Vladimir Putin. Richard, you can go first.
So literally, and this is going back to Chip Chipperson, if he hosted a political show, he just went, Ukraine, go.
Right.
That was not a question. He goes, see the shirt I'm wearing? What do you guys think about Ukraine?
Yeah.
Take turns.
But he added the political editorial of, can you believe it?
Yeah.
Ukraine, go.
That was a question.
Yeah, that was it. And for somebody who doesn't want to be accused of cutting lines while other people are talking, I don't know what Brian's doing over there. It's really bad.
I
What
mean,
is he doing?
Hamming it up for the camera. I'll put this on mute. But yeah, if you weren't paying attention to what Brian was doing during whatever you call that John was talking about.
I'm gonna pretend I'm cutting lines right here. You tell me if it's the same movements, because what is he doing? What is he separating?
You're right. He's either cutting lines or he's cutting limes for his cocktail.
And Ojeda looks like he's been pulling tractors with his neck in his spare time. He looks ripped.
All right, so now he's got his drugs out. And, he's ready to go. All right. Let me
Hey, woo! Fucking party, man.
Brian really does fancy himself a comic, which is fun. It's a fun way to be. Okay. So here's another question that John asks, and thankfully Brian kind of calls him on this.
And Brian, let me ask you something. You've been covering, so many presidents, and you interviewed everyone since Ronald Reagan. Did you find this as disgraceful as I did?
That's some question right there. Did you find this as disgraceful as I did? Which, of course, is not a question. But Brian responds correctly.
Well, that's a loaded question. How disgraceful did you find it?
Yeah, it's a very loaded question. You're telling him the answer in the question, which is what John always does when he's on here.
Yeah, you're leading the coked out witness. What are you doing?
Right.
And we all know, and Karam knows, that everything he's doing, Brian, is annoying the shit out of John. This is everything he hates. No eye contact, wearing shades, not paying attention, moving his head, moving everything around. He knows he hates this. You have to figure it's felt like this. They've done their last episode with John like every month. You feel like this is the last one, and you can hear him being like, it's just this one more, then we're done. Just this one more, and then I'm out.
Oh, that's why he's saying one more for. So these guys go, fine, we'll do one more.
Fine, we'll do one. And he's been saying that for months
You're
now.
right.
Brian checked out a long time ago, but he's a decent chap, and he's just like, all right, I'll fulfill my obligation. Woo!
Yes, that's a good call. That actually explains why John is introducing this as the last show. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense.
I mean, I remember, like, Karl, I think it was like a year or two ago where Ojeda was like having a heart-to-heart with John on one of the shows, and he was just like, dude, like, you got to stop responding to all these people. You gotta stop doing what you're doing, and he really laid it all out there for him. And Ojeda's the first guy to be like, rip off their head, shit down their neck, you know?
Right.
And he's like, dude, take some time off. Take care of yourself.
Yeah, he literally said, why are you giving this air, John?
Yeah.
You're going to get more of this when you keep talking about it. He was really being reasonable, which is something that Rich Ojeda rarely does.
Rarely. And John's like, oh, so I'm not supposed to fight back? Whatever. You know, whatever.
But the way that this political show goes, and I don't spend a lot of time watching these normally, so it was a little eye-opening to me. It's like they're children pretending to be running a political show. And what's interesting about that is that, like you said, Brian Karem has interviewed every president since Ronald Reagan. He's got strong ties in Washington and talking to politicians. We saw Richard Ojeda was on Bill Maher's show. Like he was a state senator or whatever in West Virginia.
And he's a soldier. That gives him the credit to speak about these topics with experience.
Right. So you see these guys who are actual players, but with John, it's fucking amateur hour. Do you find that as disgraceful as I did? Like,
yeah.
Can you just ask me how I felt about it, and then I'll tell you rather than leading me with that?
It's interesting that everyone can see that these two guys would never interact with this one guy if they had the option. Mm-hmm. if it was them reaching out to John first, then these three people would not know each other. And I think they feel bad for John and have for quite some time.
I agree. I think Richard feels bad for John, and because Richard goes back to when Hal Sparks was on regularly, and who was that guy, Noel Kassler?
Yeah.
Was on regularly. Like, he had some guys on there that do well in this political realm, and so Richard Ojeda, I think, feels bad for John that he's fallen so far, and Brian Karem has a lot of respect for the Howard Stern show,
which makes sense. I makes me kind of wonder, what's John telling them behind the scenes? Because you wouldn't just feel sorry for him just that alone, right?
Right.
Because he did this all to himself. What's he saying to them behind the scenes? It's like making them.
Oh, God, I'm sure he's crying a river all the fucking time. You see what they're doing to me? They're calling my mom.
Well, like the lies we hear are like, you know, farm team, AAA, right? The shit that he's probably telling them, that's probably the major league shit that we have yet to hear about, you know?
I think there are two things at play here. One is, and it's a unique thing, and there's no way to know about it unless you experience it, but it is a phenomenon, and that is political people are very isolated, and they're obsessed with Hollywood, and they don't have access to that. So the way that, like, a state senator at a White House function might not really be a big deal. There's a state senator in your high school auditorium. You're like, get the fuck out of here. That guy? I want to see that guy. And you walk over and you're excited. I can be at a major political person's house and they're like, This guy was on CSI once. You're not going to believe it. Honey, come here. You got to meet this guy. You want to tour the Congress? This is unbelievable. They want a picture. They're just so excited. They need these allies. They're personally thrilled by it, the same way people in Hollywood are like, holy shit, you're a congressman. That's amazing. They love that. And John provided for Richard one dream Hollywood night at that bowling alley where he introduced him to Corey Feldman and gave him, it's a cool bar and on Sunset. He gave him the dream, and he'll never forget him for that. Forget that. The same way I wouldn't forget if somebody gave me a tour of the White House and be like, holy shit, that was amazing. So he is that for them. And for Cameron, these guys to say, oh yeah, remember that guy from the Howard Stern show? Like all they hear is politics all day long. This is something interesting. And the other thing I think that's at play, and Shuli, you could tell me if I'm wrong here, but this is what John does. He says, I'm a comic, and all the true comics are like, oh, you're one of us? Okay. I'm going to help you out. I'm going to show you. I think he's really doing it. And it's the same thing here. Oh, this Hollywood guy, is he really? He's really wants to every week do a political show because he believes in these causes? That's what we do. It's why we're here. We'll help him. All right, that's a good cause. And he takes advantage of directors and actors by claiming to be one, and comics by claiming to be one, and now by politicos by claiming to be one. And they all realize after a while he's just either not or he's not capable, and they slowly make their exit.
Yeah. He's like, he's like those people who like catfish people. Like he can adapt to whatever he needs to adapt to get into this person's life or to get in.
He's always been that way too. Going back to the Howard Stern show, answering the phones and the connections he would make with people for his own benefit. And Howard had to lecture him on a regular basis about it.
I think people must see it in like recovery. There must be people claiming, they're in recovery and going to Alcoholics Anonymous just to take advantage of people or just prey on it. This stuff exists, and they realize after a while that it's not him. These guys believe it. If you're deeply believe your religion and someone's like, I want to learn about it, it's an obligation.
Right.
To be as kind to them as possible and encourage them. Right.
And to him, these people are not like, he doesn't see, in my opinion, he doesn't see it as friends. These group of people that are his friends. For him, it's like 9-ball. He's looking at a person and he's going, 2 months from now, what can I get out of this guy?
Right.
Or where can I end up because of what this guy does for a living or what he has? What could I end up with at the end of this friendship when it goes south? And it will go south.
Well, Shuli, to that point, we all remember when Richard Ojeda announced he's going to be on Bill Maher, and John's first thought was, can I go too?
It was constant. Every episode they did after he announced it, John somehow, and he got him to agree to it, and then he took it, then he couldn't do it. And John was pissed.
Yeah, you saw how difficult it was for Richard to say, don't drive me.
Right.
It was like a 2-month-long process. It's just like he couldn't get him to understand. And I think I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain. I think it's all going to end really badly, and I don't think they're going to be friends much longer after this.
It has to. It has to.
Yeah.
Well, historically, that's how all his relationships end.
Correct.
They don't ever just go, you know what? Let's just part ways. We don't agree. It's always blows up. Like
I think they feel that it does come from like an evil place, because I think you're absolutely right. He looks at everyone and he says, what can you do for me? And I think he also thinks, I can be you. I can do whatever you do. And why the fuck aren't I? Because you're just a drunk like me. I should be doing it. And then they feel that, and he acts like it. Like he thinks the most offensive thing he does is talk to them like he's on their level. And like they think he's on their level. They're tolerating him. They're humoring him like a boy. Yeah. What he's saying doesn't make sense, and they're like, okay, but he doesn't know that.
Right. All right. Let me. I'm going to play this clip. I put this together at 5x speed, just to give everyone a sense of what this show actually is, how little effort John puts into it, and how little knowledge he has about the topics these guys are talking about.
President Zelensky, who's got to sit through these cowards bullying him when he's on the ground fighting with his fucking troops.
This is Brian filibustering after John just makes a statement about Zelensky to get him going. It wasn't a question or anything.
John's reading the chat, by the way.
Imagine watching a show like this.
John never looks like he's listening, ever.
Oh, Jenna looks like an android short circuit.
Other people smile. He smiles real fast afterwards and moves on.
Those people.
And that's Europe, as a whole.
Yeah.
It'd be great as soon as Brian's done, his head just drops back down. And another thing.
So, John is a headline reader. He's a meme reader. He doesn't know anything. So he can't even have a discussion with Brian. This is a weird format. I don't see any other shows where there's three people having a discussion and one of them talks for 5 minutes straight and no one else gets a word and they just nod their heads like...
And Richard's in the starting blocks, just ready to jump in with his 5 minutes after Brian's done
repeating most of the same points. Yep.
Yep.
And then Florida girl right here. So John puts up this super chat for $2. It says Trump loves Putin and hates USA. It's that simple. Now, what's hilarious about this is that is one of their daughters. It might be Richard Ojeda's daughter or something. I don't even know because he finds out later. But he puts it up because he agrees with it. Doesn't correct the typo. I mean, it's would be IT apostrophe S. If this was someone who didn't agree with them, he'd probably get to ant fucking on that. But for some reason, when they agree, that's not a big deal. All right, I have a lot more to get to on the clip package that we have for John's big return to politics yesterday. First, I want to thank the fine people who are here supporting the show. Remind them that Dabble House is coming up April 11th and 12th. Stream it from wherever you want to, multiple devices. When you sign up your password, you can watch it on your phone, on your iPad, on your computer. It's all there for you. We did this last year at DabbleCon 2, and it worked very, very well. And we have the same guy running it this year, Vinny Paulino. So it should be very smooth and pro.
It's going to be great to get yelled at the house all of Thursday.
Oh, boy, yep. Especially after he's driving down there. He's driving all the equipment. It's like 24 hours. He's going to be grumpy.
I'm going to have to listen to his 9/11 story of the drive down.
Yep.
There we go.
We'll absorb it for all you guys. Don't worry. We'll take this on.
His mood is consistent with sound engineers. I think it's...
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to just have a GoPro on me. So as soon as he starts yelling, that's tier member.
Oh, smart.
Ooh, body cam.
Yeah.
Play it on
Body cam footage for
Good
members.
D Vogel $10 says, can you put Double Point back on Fridays instead of this little piggy? I don't give two shits about Aaron Imholt, and I would love to end my week with some good old-fashioned stuttering John bashing. Listen, I don't care what days we do these things. This is scheduled on other people's schedules because I'm there for both of them.
I mean, let me see. Let me see what's going on.
But if you're not watching this little piggy, you really should be because Aaron Imholt is fucking out of control. I'm telling you. The people who don't get into it, I don't understand anymore.
There's a crescendo coming there with Aaron.
Well, yeah, he's got a court coming up in May.
Yeah, it's going to break wide. It's going to be huge.
We're all going to be there. It's going to be so fun. Can't wait.
I'm amazed by the systems in Jen's shirt. Karl, one of my alters is coming for your club feet misery style.
Uh-oh.
Jenny, with all my credits, you should be with a celebrity like me. I just bought a house for my mommy that my mommy bought for me. Karl doesn't deserve a beautiful woman like you.
He doesn't.
Yo! My knickers. How is Stuttering John still more important than me? I'm part of the Dabbleverse he wants to abandon. I'm trapped in the fart box of the Dabbleverse. Throw me a lifeline.
Yeah, I can't get into Joey C. El Harible still continues to talk about him every episode. I can't figure it out.
Wow, where's the fart box? What a horrible place.
It's in Tampa.
I'm a big
Chad
Joey
Zumock.
C. I'm a big Joey C fan.
I like Joey C. I just can't watch his show.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Oh, okay.
Big Joey C fan.
Clark Griswold, $5 says, Kevin can't stand the fact that Anthony has a career. He's so pissed off his memory's starting to come back.
KB.
Yeah, is that talking about Kevin Brennan?
I mean, half of his anger is bullshit. So, you know.
Kevin Brennan is mentally ill, though. I think we learned that from the traffic stop.
Yeah.
It's not all
crazy.
an act. He's got some issues going on. AO 1012. Any ring cam footage again for actual laughs or $30 for more boring tapes only? What a scam Dabble House sounds like.
Well, a scam would be if we forced you to pay $30, I think, you know, or somehow just took it out of your account without your knowledge.
We will have full podcast episodes. Who are these podcasts? The Uncle Rico show. There'll be shenanigans all weekend. And I will tell you, we will make it worth your while, my friend. Happy Valley Wrecking Crew, $5 says, when is the real DC happening? I want to karaoke and get into KM and Lucy's tight pants.
Yeah, it's stuff like that that's keeping it from actually getting locked down, Happy Valley.
OG Mumbling Nick just gifted a Who Are These Podcasts membership. Thank you very much for that. We appreciate you, OG Mumbling Nick. Chuck Spears has been a member for 16 months, says, John Drools, y'all rule. Happy belated 600 and thank you. Thank you, Chuck Spears. Gravely Diggs says, he's got a history of heart problems in his family. Talking about John?
Any one of us, really, probably.
I was going to say.
His mom just had a pretty major operation. He was talking to his co-host about it. But the only reason why he brought it up was to say that, and the first thing she does when she gets out of the hospital is watch this show.
Oh, boy.
He was using her as a shield to guilt people into not saying mean things to him.
Yeah.
And if you don't mind, I just wanted to answer that question you had earlier. You were saying, what does he tell them off screen?
Yeah.
Like, what does he talk?
Yeah.
I think he tells them that all of those trolls are Republicans that are attacking him because of his beliefs.
You're right.
So
they're all Trump supporters. Yes.
and they are on that side, and they would, align with him on that. They don't know it's because of who he is.
Because John pretends that ever since the Trump prank call, that's how he got on everyone's radar, which is not true at all. I listened to a podcast of his before he did that.
Yeah.
And that's when we started making fun of him.
Trump doesn't come off badly in the phone call. Why would they care?
Right.
It was not an embarrassing moment for
actually
Trump.
sounds professional.
It was
You think this
maybe
guy's a
for his
maniac.
staff or his, the person who takes the calls there. But other than that, he seemed fine.
Right.
Right. John ended the career of yet a fellow call screener. Now is out of a job thanks to John. His prank call.
I was
prowess.
kind of impressed at his, if some random senator called me up and said, I need to speak to you, it's an emergency, and then just rambled about some bullshit, he was pretty polite about it. Instead of, don't ever call me like this again.
I thought so.
No shit. He actually knew what Bob Menendez was up to. Hey, congratulations, and what's going on? He was ready to take that phone call, and he just got done with a rally. He was a busy guy. I was impressed with that, too.
It's moving and shaking.
Laverne Mystic, $2 says, John goes by nationality because it's the box on Wiki. What does that mean? Oh, is he talking about on the Wiki page, it'll give you the vitals or whatever, and that's one of the things that it tells you? So maybe that's why he thinks that he's the first ever Puerto Rican Danish announcer.
Right, maybe.
Christ.
Drunk Engineer, member for 5 months, says, oh, dang, I just looked at the district Ojeda is running for. Last 3 elections went Republican plus 11, Republican plus 13, Republican plus 19. Best of luck, Richard. Oh. It's going to be rough. It's going to be
Not
tough.
looking good.
DPM $5 says, Ojeda won a West Virginia state Senate seat running on the single issue of marijuana legalization. He was told not to run for re-election because he is a nut job. Didn't he get into a crazy fight with someone too? Like they came to his house and
No, it was at a rally he was doing
Oh,
or
was it a
something,
rally?
and the dude attacked him with a hammer.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, he went to the hospital. He was in bad. Don't laugh. He was in bad shape.
Oh,
Karl.
that's awful.
Why are you smiling?
I don't
dude?
attack politicians with hammers. Why are you looking at me over here?
Guy's an American hero.
It does explain why he's a little flinchy, though. I get
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yes. No flash photography, by the way, near him.
Big fan. Is spending your kids' college money on beer disgraceful? I don't think so.
Oh, you want to know something crazy? We were watching an older episode last night, and he's in his typical bragging mode where he starts rattling off how awesome he is. And he starts rattling off how much money he has.
Right.
And he goes, I have stocks. I have real estate. He goes, I have my kids' 6-figure college fund. That was named in the list of assets.
How does he do that and not realize how awful that looks? He's literally counting that as his money.
Well, and then somebody in the chat, I don't buy, but somebody in the chat threw out this theory. What if a portion of that fund, the deal was agreed to that if he stops doing Dabbleverse related stuff, he might get the money he's looking for out of the fund?
I mean, I could see him trying to negotiate anything he could to try to get that money.
I could see that too. I cannot see him succeeding.
No, I can't see him
honoring
even,
that agreement.
Yeah, I can't even see them at this point agreeing to any kind of deal with him for that money.
Oh no! If they give him that money, it's just going to be turned into Coors Lights.
Yeah.
It's going
We
to be
saw
the
what
end of Casino with Sharon Stone.
We saw what happened when Jay generously gave him $110,000 as a severance when The Tonight Show moved to New York. And John just fucking was unemployed and drank beer every day and who knows what else.
Right.
Stopped paying child support and just blew all the money.
John actually said this in one of his wild fantasies where he was fantasizing about winning the lottery. He said something like, if I won $500 million, I'd give Susanna $5 million. I'd give her $5 million. He said that.
He goes, if I won $100 million, I'd give Susanna $5 million.
Yeah.
And then
Something
he
like
goes,
that, yeah.
And then he goes, well, wait a second, because of taxes, it actually turns into like, 55 million. You had to like rethink that. It's like, dude, none of this exists. Just act like you're super generous. You don't have to.
Not only did he think this was a boast and not like giving her so little, that's the mother of your children. And you're like, that's a tip for your agent. That's crazy. Not only is he bragging about that, he's having the attitude as if he kind of just did it.
Yeah. He
I
also
mean, I
watched
said
our
I
cats.
would do it, so it's almost like I have. How are your cats? They're still fine.
Oh, God.
Can't think of enough.
That's how he operates.
Gigi says, I think it's time to include Opie videos in Point Dabble Point. Oh, can't stop me. Can't stop me from doing that.
Well, then it's no longer Point Dabble Point,
That's
Gigi,
true.
is
It would
it?
kind of fuck up the branding. But if you do want to watch Opie videos, who are these podcasts this Wednesday at 5:30 Eastern? We'll be featuring him for sure. And
He's-
also,
he's-
Big Fan just gifted 5. Who are these podcasts membership? Thank you very much. Very generous of you. We will be doing a bonus show, Stuttering John, or Living in the Past with Stuttering John Melendez. So we've been going back and listening to all of John's podcasts from 2018. We just heard the Trump prank call. The next episode is the Victory Lap.
Oh, boy.
So that's what we'll be breaking down tomorrow at 5 p.m. on this channel. And if you are a member, you will get the link. Just look under the membership tab and you'll be able to watch that. Also, 2 bonus shows every single month. Watch the show on Saturdays when we record it. Mr. Spittle, member 14 months, says, other than Ojeda, all of these war-hungry libs who scream for more war would never serve on the front lines. All right. Well, I don't want to get too political on this, but I hear what you're saying. Rabid Weasel says, Lady K, you never had icons fight over you. That's a fact, Jack. Hello, Jen. Always lovely. Oh, hey,
Thank
Shuli.
you.
Oh, hey, Rabbit Weasel.
You don't know what icons have fought over me.
We have a pretty good guess.
Okay, fair enough. Zach Ottman, Jenny, F. Mary Kill, Sweaty Face John, Brian Richard. Good question.
Okay. But it's actually a very easy one.
Okay.
Can't
Now
kill
you better have an
yourself.
answer.
No, I do.
All right.
Okay, F. Ojeda. He looks fit.
Yeah, sure.
I'd probably marry Brian Karam just because he's doing coke. He seems like a fun guy. And I'd kill John, of course.
He can't get it up. He's high on coke.
Whatever. I got Ojeda. I don't need him.
And you would kill John by giving me $100 and walking him to Stevie Tomatoes.
That's actually not a bad life you've just built for yourself, Jenny. Think
really
about it.
Good one. Her stutter says, just got here. Anyone mentioned Jenny's Jubblies yet? No, it's a very respectful crew we have.
Yeah.
Watching the show. Ed, you want to read this one?
Question for Adam. Did he ever run into Scientology or other cults in Hollywood? What's that? How do you pronounce them? Yeah, Nexium also had a lot of members on Smallville, so I'm curious if you have any stories about encountering cults. Big fan. That's from Leo. Yeah, I was obsessed with that stuff even before I moved to California. If somebody's preaching something, I'll go. I'll go check it out. I'll go see anything. I'll see any band. I just love seeing stuff like that. And I was obsessed with all the Scientology documentaries. And I had a birthday. There's the Renaissance restaurant at one of the big Scientology buildings where you can make a reservation there and you can have dinner there. And it's in the center. And of course, they'll come over and ask you to take a tour. Did the whole thing. I was obsessed with it. And then I met people that were genuinely into it. And it's, I think when something gets you sober or gets you clean, you're so grateful and you just kind of put a lot of attention onto that. But I can tell you, I did the e-meter thing, and you put your finger in it and they go, think about something really horrible that happened. And the meter goes up and down, up and down. They go, now think about something really good that happened to you. And it goes up and down, up and down. And they go, see? Do you see?
It must be real then.
Yeah.
Sounds
and
legit.
If I was desperate or drunk, I could, in need, I can see being like, yeah, I guess you see it. But that meter did nothing. It's all just nothing. And I honestly can't get enough of it.
I've talked about this before, but back when we had DirecTV, we got the Scientology channel.
Oh, yeah.
They just added it to our package, and it would just play propaganda 24/7, and I was glued to it.
Yeah, it's the best.
I almost became a Scientologist. Everything they were saying on there, I'm like, yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, the pharmaceutical industry is out of control in this country. That's right. Yeah, what are all these drug companies pushing all this shit forward? People should get healthy on their own, eat better, and exercise.
It's so much more sinister than that. They are putting these shoots on and shooting these commercials so they can prey on all the young actors here. They put up signs, they cast them, and you only realize halfway through, wait a second, what is this? And by then, they've got you, and that's another way for them to, proselytize.
The last time we were in Clearwater, there was a lot of Scientology in Clearwater, Florida.
There sure was.
You can tell by the head movement.
Maybe we can visit Scientologists again when we head down to Dabble House.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll be close enough to check that out. All right, let's get back to this package. Let's get back to Political John's political show. And so John sees a politician say something he disagrees with and doesn't know how to rebut that. So then he just says to Brian Karam, hey, I saw this thing happen. Please tell me how I should feel about it, is basically what you're seeing here.
And he don't want to say it.
But I was, let me ask you guys, I was watching a politician go through the history of Ukraine and saying Putin has every right to be pissed because we expanded NATO to where we promised we wouldn't to his border. And it was our fault that we did that, and that's why he's pissed. Brian, have you heard this kind of rhetoric?
That's crap, and here's the reason why.
See, that's what John needs right there.
Right.
I heard this guy say that we were expanding NATO, and maybe like if people say like if all of a sudden Putin was allies with Mexico, we'd have a problem with that. So why are we allies with people right on the border? Like it actually started to make some sense to me, and I wasn't sure why I should think that's wrong. Brian's like, I'll tell you why you think it's wrong. Oh, cool, thank you. I knew you'd help me with that.
This is no different than his regular Dabbleverse show, because that's what it consists of. He finds things that insulted him or he suspects might be insulting. He pulls them up, he shows them to the person, and he says, what say you?
Yeah. Clay Dabbler, explain to me why Karl stinks. Clay was actually watching the Creep Off today. He was in our chat. I invited him to come on Point Dabble Point today.
It's not fair that because John goes, we don't get to see Clay anymore.
I know.
DG can stay away, that's fine. But Clay, it's not, he shouldn't be dictated by whether John's around.
At least we have Clay duty.
Clay needs to grow a pair of balls and live for yourself, my friend. You're a talented guy. You got great skills. The Dabbleverse is not, they don't hate you. Like, people are like, whatever. It's silly. The whole thing is silly. Just get in here, mix it up with people, have some fun, and let some people pay you some good money for your work. Make some money out of this shit for once.
Yeah, we need a Dabble point on this show. How long have we been doing this? A couple of years now. We've never had a Dabble point.
Yeah, but for me, it's like the guy, whether you like him or hate him or whatever, the guy put in his time and service with John. No one can deny that. That guy sat there and John made multiple attempts to dox him right to his face. Yes. And he just sat there and took it. It's ridiculous, but he did it. I think he should be rewarded for that.
All right, here's John again, pretending he's asking a question, but he's not.
Let me ask you guys, and just to change the subject for a second, I knew this was imminent, and I predicted this, and I'm sure both of you gentlemen did as well. Now that the economy is tanking, I knew it was only a matter of time before Trump supporters point the finger at Joe Biden.
Of course.
And now, Brian, Richard, and I know, just much like Obama, Biden left Trump a robust economy. Unemployment was at its lowest rates. And what again does Trump do? He fucking torpedoes it.
So that's not a question. I have a question for you guys. I predicted the economy was going to suck, and I was totally right. And you guys probably thought that too. And what John does, and I haven't been pointing this out, but I probably should have. We'll get more into this. John can't help. He's trying to be charismatic and interesting and the show host. The only way he knows how to do that is to raise his voice and swear.
Yeah. And it's always like the last 2 or 3 words of whatever he's saying. He yells at the top of his
torpedo.
Right.
And I think what brought him to a head here was, I got to be honest, I couldn't hear a word that John was saying because I was just watching Brian. Look, if you think he's on his phone, watch the last clip again. That's not his phone. His phone can't be in 6 places at once. What's happening here is Brian is checked out. He does not give a shit. He does not need to look at John to follow what he's saying. He can do 6 other things and grasp what John's going to say. So he's not making eye contact with him at all. And John gets so furious, he just starts screaming at the end, going, look at me. You know what it's like when Clay just looks down for a second. This guy's ignoring him. He's not just not looking at him. He's very busy with anything else he can find. So, of course, John fixates on that and ignores the guy that's just staring at him, listening. Just talk to that guy. Leave Karam alone. Talk to the guy who's listening. No, he's got to yell at him and force him to make eye contact and look up. So he makes a big fuck you face. Like, okay, I'll answer your stupid question, John.
That's a great observation.
That really is. I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, we just rewatched that with the sound off, and Brian is just whatever. Maybe he's got a little book there and he's doodling in it. Maybe he's cutting up lines. I don't know.
It's a big, important, very important activity. This has to go well, whatever he's doing. When I give my dog a command, I kind of demand a little more respect. I need him to just focus on me for a second. If that was, it's rude, and he knows it. He knows it. He would never do it on any other show.
Yeah, but he's got a test for fentanyl. He can't. You can't just try.
Mess that up. It's important.
That's probably that is important. Yeah,
more important than whatever that guy's yelling about.
All right, so now John is going to tell a line that he pretends he created, but he obviously read this on a meme. It's so obvious, and both the guys know that too. They're both just like, yeah, okay. But John wants credit for this.
As I have stated before, the only time the Republicans give a shit about eggs is when it's inside a woman's body, because that's the only time they care about eggs.
As I have said before, well, yeah, I mean, you also read it somewhere or heard someone else say it.
That's like telling a why'd the chicken cross the road joke to a room full of comics. They're just like, who's this fucking hack? That's what he just said with his eyes, Brian. If you watch,
oh yeah. He let him know in a very deep way that he didn't enjoy that as a politician and as a fan of comedy. It failed in both ways, and he's no problem expressing it.
Because the problem is he's taking credit for it. If he was just like, so-and-so said, or I saw this meme that said, then they'd be like, oh, yeah, I know what you mean. But instead he has to try to take credit for it. They both know he didn't come up with this. Yeah, let's watch Brian's response.
As I have stated before, the only time the Republicans give a shit about eggs is when it's inside a woman's body, because that's the only time they care about eggs.
Just like, and John thought he was going to get a pop out of that, which is why he had to repeat it, which is the only time they care about eggs, right? You see it in his comedy set, too, where he'll like, anyway.
No, quiet down. I got to get on to the next thing. Quiet down, everybody.
All right. This is great because John is, and I've been saying this for a while now. You've heard me on Uncle Rico's show break this down. John is a 6-year-old. And once you realize that John has the mentality of a 6-year-old, everything else makes perfect sense. Because they're doing this political show and they're talking about the economy and unemployment rates and foreign policy, all this important stuff. I mean, let's not forget, the president right now is a monster. He's the next Hitler. He's going to start World War III. John's very passionate about this. But then he brings this up.
These Trump voters who are now going to be voting Democrat again to be able to beat these friggin' assholes in Washington, D.C.
Brian, is it your birthday tomorrow?
Yeah.
All right, happy birthday, Brian Karam. Woo-hoo. It's my mom's birthday on Wednesday. You see, good people, they share this very close, very similar birthdays. Look at that.
That old saying, yeah.
Good people, they share this. He just wanted to shoehorn in. It's his mom's birthday. In John's mind, now again, he's a child, so birthdays are a big deal. Sure. I'm sure Brian Karam could give a fuck that his birthday's tomorrow.
Well, clearly Brian's already celebrating. I mean, number one.
But I think that in John's mind also, I know his birthday's October 4th. The reason why I know that is because that's when he goes on his begathon. For the whole week, it's his birthday week, and we need super chatters to acknowledge that. And so I think in John's mind, he's trying to conjure up it's your birthday and my mom's birthday is coming up. Can we get some super
There's so little
chats?
left that's likable with John, and his mom and his politics are really like the only things he has left. He can't claim his kids anymore. So it's just, remember, you like my mom. That's why my mom's watching the show, too. You're doing this for her, too, guys. Please don't leave. Please look at me while I'm talking, please.
No, Shuli, have you seen this yet?
Tell me he sings happy birthday to him.
Oh.
All I can say is everybody born in March, June was a very good month for your parents.
Hold on, Brian. I have to do this.
Oh, God.
Happy birthday.
You don't have
to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Brian. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, my nipples are hard. Do it again. Oh, I love it. All right.
No, I got to tell you, this is how, and Brian and Richard, both you guys agree.
Why does he feel compelled to do that?
I don't know why he sings it that way either. It's like the Marilyn Monroe version of
sexy
it.
version to his buddy Brian.
See,
really
weird. I don't think it's the Marilyn version. I think he's doing a Bill Murray parody. I think he's doing the lounge singer version of Happy Birthday.
I get Marilyn.
Well,
either way, it's gay.
Right.
Yeah, well, the lounge singer was doing a creepy version of Marilyn. Now John's doing the even creepier version of Bill Murray without any of the charm. You can hear that voice that Bill does that has that little, like, I'm pushing just a little too hard. John just sounds like a monster.
And Richard's got a look on his face like, I can't even imagine how many little bars of soap we would be hitting him with wrapped in towels.
Right now. We'd learn him, though.
Yeah.
It's just Brian is like Rob Saul. If everyone accuses you of being too comfortable with dogs, just stop broadcasting with the dog on your lap. Brian, if people keep accusing you of snorting lines during the show, maybe don't leap up to your feet, grab your nipples, and start rubbing them and screaming and moaning. It's just not helping. That's all.
It'll be great if all of a sudden, like when LeBron checks into the game, you just see a cloud of powder every time Brian comes on screen. Foosh.
So I got to tell you, this is how, and Brian and Richard, both of you guys agree, Democrats are bad at fucking.
Thank you.
Democrats are bad at fucking. I think we can all agree on that. Good point, John. This is my favorite clip right here because I'll just want to play. This is John trying to explain what Democrats are bad at. And he does a masterful job of demonstrating it.
Democrats are bad at fucking telling people what they're doing. They're the worst fucking
Fighting
people.
back?
Like this.
They don't fight back. They don't fight back. They don't communicate well.
They don't communicate well. But Brian, let me give you an example of this. I'm sitting at the.
You just did.
Oh
John,
my
you just gave an
God.
example of how Democrats are bad at communicating.
It's like you couldn't write this. Like,
Ricky Gervais has got to play John in the
That's
the
good.
movie adaptation.
Example of this. I'm sitting at the bar, as everybody knows. This is one of my favorite places to go.
Okay. So we're going to get into the story of John at the bar. Now, I've been seeing this more and more lately. You guys tell me when I was down in Texas last week, which is why I wasn't on Point Dabble Point. A lot of the places we walked into had signs up that said, no politics, no political talk. And this is a place where probably most people are like-minded, and they still have to be like, let's not have political debates at the bar. Everyone's just trying to, or at the restaurant, everyone's just trying to enjoy themselves. So this is what John is doing at the bar.
And I'm sitting at the bar, and some guys indulge in an argument. And he says, well, thank God for this. First he says, well, thank God we have, cars here in America. Thank God we're building cars. And I said, well, you can thank Obama for that. He goes, you're a moron. That's ridiculous. I go, now what's that? I have it right here on my phone because I knew you were going to say that. And then he goes, well, they didn't bail out Ford. I go, well, they offered it. Ford didn't want it. That's why I own a Ford. Okay, great. And then I said, well, by the way, all my stock in Ford is tanking. That's besides the point. Then, Brian, to your point, then he starts going, well, thank God for this infrastructure. It's really boosted our economy. And I said, well, that's thanks to Joe Biden. He goes, you're a fucking moron. Don't sit next to me anymore.
I love when John recounts his conversations because obviously they're going through the filter of John. I believe that last thing actually happened. The guy goes, you're a fucking moron.
Yeah.
Don't sit next to me anymore.
yeah, you're a moron and you're a fucking moron. Don't sit next to me anymore. I believe those two statements.
Yes.
And then he squirted his juice box all over me, and everybody laughed.
But again,
sorry.
No, I was just.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
There's no way that somebody stood up in a bar and said, I'm so glad they're making cars again.
No.
And John happened to have this ready on his phone. It's crazy. He got into a fight at a bar because he was talking like an asshole, and he hadn't planned ahead of time how he was going to spin this story to sound like he was being attacked. So that's why he only stutters on those details where it's, the back and forth. And of course, the guy is just like, you're a fucking he's just this evil, has no points. He just says, you're a fucking moron. You're a fucking moron. And all I did was show him my phone, and this guy just started freaking out at me. Even they don't buy it.
No, because you see how he behaves here, where he's
Right.
screaming and yelling. You don't think he's not screaming and yelling at somebody at a bar when he's drunk. I
Yep.
do believe he took out his phone and shoved it in his face. What was on his phone, I don't know. But
I'm sure that he was overhearing another conversation that was going on and interjected himself into it.
Yeah.
Because
That's the thing.
Yeah, he's so obnoxious at these afternoon when he's hanging out at the bar with all of his buddies in the afternoon.
Well, it's like a Western, He's the guy with the hat covering his face, his head's down, and somebody says something, and all of a sudden, he picks his head up. You can thank Obama for that. Puts his head back down. That's who he is. He's the gunslinger that's going to stick up for the left in any bar he can go to.
We talked to Pat Oates about this when we were playing a year and a half ago or so. John was telling the story about getting kicked out of the bar because he was talking politics, and the bartender finally had enough. They're like, you got to go.
Yep.
That's enough. I was talking to Pat about that, who also has experience bartending, afternoon shifts with regulars and stuff. It's like, you can't have people in there talking politics. It never goes well. And John has yet to learn this lesson, even though this is what he's been doing. He talks about when he was at Pickwick and everyone was conservative. Now he's in Florida and everyone is conservative that's going to this bar. It's all blue-collar guys who are getting off their shift at 3 and having a beer. And John just insists on arguing with them.
Well, he dresses for an argument. He wears the shirts that he knows is going to cause. He knows it's going to cause somebody to say something. He's looking for it, and then when he gets it, he goes, "Can you believe this?"
I'll never forget when we did our live show in Manhattan, and we were on what was the neighborhood we were in? It's a very upscale.
Oh, it wasn't Chelsea, was it?
It was Chelsea, yeah. It was at the City Winery in Chelsea.
Oh, yeah.
And I walk in with my Dark Brandon T-shirt on because
boy.
you know I'm goofing on Jen. That's what I do. And then the employees are like, "Oh, that's a nice shirt." It's like, "Oh, fuck." I wouldn't actually wear this if I wasn't. All right, thanks. Yep, nice to talk to you. This is. Oh, go ahead.
What? No, I was just gonna say I have to go do a family thing. I got to bounce on you, but I love you guys. Adam, it's a pleasure. Jenny, pleasure's all
Always
on.
good to see you.
Shuli, you doing a show tonight? People should check out the Shuli Network.
I think we're releasing a Blunder episode tonight. I think the boys have the night off. We're taking tonight off, but we'll be back the following day. TSN and thank you, Karl and Adam and Jen, and bye everybody.
Thanks, Shuli.
Later. Oh, Dabble House. Come on,
Dabble
get in
House.
there. Let's go.
Dabblecon.live is where you want to go for more information about Dabble House. I do want to play this clip because I kind of set this up earlier in the show, and I was talking about how John just reads memes, and he does this to his guests too. Like this is how he runs his political show.
I just wanted to put this up because this is true. The only 3 presidents in 50 years to reduce the deficit. That is a fact check. But why do they hate us Democrats so much, Brian? I know you're not a Democrat, but why do they hate the Democrats so much?
So John just puts up a meme and goes, "That's a fact check." Well, it has to be. Someone created a meme.
Yeah, someone photoshopped it.
Yeah,
It's
so I
great.
would imagine.
Whether you agree with Brian's politics is irrelevant. This is like taking somebody who has studied painting and art history and become, a master, a doctorate in painting and art history, and showing them sketches, from your child and asking them to seriously comment on them. And they're indulging this like a kid playing talk show. It's
got to be painful for Brian to respond to. And here's another example of John pulling up a meme to discuss.
And again, I believe in news, not in propaganda.
Guys, this is something that really bothers me. Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert heckled Joe Biden 4 fucking speeches. Why is it that when this Green protests, he gets punished, he gets censored? Why, both of you guys, maybe you have a reason, an intelligent reason, why the fuck does the Democrat, who happens to be African-American, he gets punished, but not the fucking 2 white women? What's it?
Richard?
So again, I think you're right, Adam, on the dynamic there. John's getting louder and louder as Brian just ignores him. Just head down, still testing for fentanyl, whatever he's doing on that table in front of him. And so John has to get louder and louder, and all he's doing is reading a meme.
And as the visual representation of the fact that there's no point in ever being nice to John, Richard is sitting there patiently, making eye contact. He even starts raising his hand, going, "I'm listening, and I'd like to answer the question." But all John sees is that guy's not listening to him, and it's infuriating. And he told him, "I can do it, but I have some business, so I'm going to be multitasking." John's like, it's fine. But now he's regretting that.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that's a huge part of the reason why John can't get off the internet. He should get off the internet. He can't, though, because nobody listens to him.
Right.
This is the only place where people listen to him. It's like this double-edged sword. It's like, well, the Dabbleverse listens to me, but I hate the Dabbleverse.
Yeah.
And I still have to do these shows because otherwise, who's going to listen to me? Nobody.
It's a good point. When he talks about having phone conversations, he talks for hours with people on the phone.
To people who are recording him and
Sometimes, yes. But he needs that human connection so badly because he does go to the bar and just has either mindless conversations about sports or arguments about politics. He doesn't actually connect with people.
And I think they won't return his phone calls after the first drunken. They
Yep.
have to be like, "Look, you can't call me after 5. You can't call me when
Right.
you're in this drunken stupor. I'm not here to amuse you."
Well, yeah, and he calls at odd hours and wants to be on the phone for a long time. And if you don't answer, he yells at you.
And you know what he wants to talk about? Him.
Yeah.
All he doesn't ask you about your day. He doesn't give a fuck. He just wants to tell you what he did and what's going on with him. So do you guys want to find the answer? Because Richard Ojeda was raising his hand.
Oh, yes, I do.
About why Al Green was taken out and Marjorie Taylor Greene wasn't. And this just shows you the sophistication of these guys who really understand politics at a deep level.
You may be shocked. They're racist. have you seen?
And they love it. They love it. What's the reason for that? Oh, it's because they're racist. Yeah, they sure are. Good stuff, guys. Now, if they believe that to be true, I don't think you'd be laughing about that. I think that would be absolutely horrifying that the highest levels of government are racist.
Of all the things that they talked about today, for this to be the thing that John's going to start yelling and getting emotional about, it's so random and not necessary.
Yeah.
And just more about his relationship with them. You pointed this out once. I'll never forget it. He had someone on that someone from the Midas Touch Brothers, a woman that worked there. And he basically got them to go on the show because they weren't returning his phone calls. And then the first thing he did on air was corner them and be like, how come we never had a deal? How come you told me we had a deal and it didn't happen? And she was like, are you kidding me? He trapped them and forced them to talk to him. And I think that's what he does to these guys too.
I feel like that's something, I don't know where he picked it up from. I think he picked it up from Howard where, well, confront him, do it on the air. Like there's nothing that's inappropriate to talk about in front of other people because of his experience at the Stern Show. Whereas Howard did it in a way that was interesting and provocative and probably wasn't going to piss people off too much usually, or maybe it did, but it was interesting for the listener. Whereas John is just confronting people where he has witnesses and they can't like get away from him.
Yes. Yeah, he's using them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is
what a great guy.
New York Times article that just came out. Midas Touch pops on podcast charts as progressive search for answers. The company is a leader among numerous digital-first outlets that have been reshaping the progressive media landscape since President Trump took office. So we know all about the Midas Touch brothers because they were on with John in the early stages of John's political show. And these guys have millions of dollars behind them. They're doing all the things they can to make sure they're getting as many views and streams as possible. They've actually adjusted to a format where they do like 15-minute long shows.
Oh.
And do that 7 or 8 times a day and have a network of, it's not just the 4 guys, but it's other people too. And it's all under that umbrella. So they're trying to get the numbers to be like, I've seen articles that say like, they're bigger than Joe Rogan. It's like, you can go down the street and ask people if they know who Joe Rogan is and the Midas Touch brothers. They're not bigger than Joe Rogan, but they are doing very well and they're getting a lot of press. And I wonder if John sees this and he's got to be
He doesn't
so
understand.
upset.
He has no idea why. He thinks Howard is keeping them from hiring him or some conspiracy.
Yeah, no, he'll definitely think that they did him wrong. That this is definitely, like, I'm sure he's pissed at them.
And it really, you'd think he'd take a lesson from that and from Anthony. You'd think Opie would too. If both of them just shut the fuck up and worked on their show. If he actually just did a political show with or without his buddies carrying it, if Opie just did a show that focused on other comics, if that was his skill, just be the fly on the wall like you were talking about. Be in the green room. Let the other comic shine. He just posted a video that was like Theo Von says something funny to this other funny comic. Was he there? This is his video.
Right.
And so if that is your gift, maybe that's a gift. He's the straight man. Then make that the thing. John, this is all just like, he's got nothing, there's no core there.
Right. A lot of parallels between Opie and John we've been noticing lately.
Yeah, if they just did the show and kept their heads down, things would swing back to them. Maybe then when the Midas Touch brothers had a chance, they would hire you, but you burned all those bridges because you wouldn't perform without them. Anthony, his beliefs have remained consistent. And who would have thought times and things and moods would change? He kept doing his thing. He was consistent to it. So when his time came, there he was, ready to go. Put me in coach. Anybody that was like, shit, we need a political pundit. How's John doing? Oh, God. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Well, even going back to the early days of the Midas Touch brothers, like Tony Michaels got a job on that network or whatever. And his numbers, I haven't looked in a long time, but his numbers were way up. He had like 70,000 subs or something like that, crushing it compared to Stuttering John or some of these other shows. And John could never figure out a way to get on these networks, even though he was doing shows with the Midas Touch brothers and Hal Sparks and Noel Castler and all these guys. And all of them recognize This guy's not good for us.
He has no consistency either, and he doesn't do any work.
Well, yeah, the laziness is a problem.
Like he shows up
The
thinking
laziness is a big problem.
This is enough. This is enough.
All right.
And it isn't.
Supertip.gg/WATP to participate and support the show. We do appreciate you fine folks for doing that.
Paul, laughing at Richard Heda's terrible injury is the funniest thing I've seen in the Dabbleverse.
I don't think getting attacked with a hammer is a funny thing. Maybe I responded incorrectly to that. Daddy Poopy coming in.
Guess what? Nobody can.
Oh, that's my girl.
That was very accurate.
It really was.
It's my girl Lisa right there.
Love her.
Nobody cares.
Oh.
All right. Ape Shit Media coming in.
I got into a fight on Twitter with this idiot who calls himself the Onion.
Uh-oh. You don't want to fight on Twitter with Patrick Melton. Ape Shit again.
I got into a fight with this idiot on Twitter who calls himself the Onion.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for making that $10. We appreciate that. Anonymous coming in.
Buffy, The Vampire Slayer, Altered Carbon, Men at Work, CSI, Law and Order.
Really, you're going to go through your credits? What a loser you are. Bob Nelson, Elephant Sound.
What?
John always does the
well, no, I get that.
Bob Nelson thing.
If I don't list my credits, how else will you know them?
It's true. I was actually waiting for you to do that earlier. I'm surprised you didn't.
I also have a newspaper article from 1999 right
Steve
here.
Morton says, is it Dabbleverse canon that Brian gets his Coke from the same dealer as Kate Meany? That's, there is something to that. John and I both bought houses in Cape Coral a couple months apart or a month and a half apart or something. And Brian Karam and Kate Meany have the same Coke dealer.
That could
amazing.
be. Never know.
CMOS 4044 with €5. Not happy about Dabble House. Says, since the regular episode is on Dabble House next week, does that mean Patreon subs won't get the live link if they don't buy a ticket? Fraud if true. It's not next week. April 11th.
CMOS had a great comment. He said something about how the less John there is, the more there is. And it's really true. So much happens, we don't get to really analyze so much that goes on. Having some time to really focus and then these live shows, I think it's a perfect balance.
Yeah, I agree. And I was actually watching John's show. I've always had a hard time picking apart the political show, but God, I could do another hour and a half on this. I have other clips we won't get to. Maybe we'll talk about it on WATP.
Yeah, there's
Wednesday.
so much. And it's all starting to connect in really fascinating ways.
Who's the better musician, Stuttering John or Corey Feldman? I'll let you take this one. What do you think?
Corey Feldman. It's Corey Feldman. Because I was in an airport once and I was holding it's a very strange instrument called a marxophone. And he said, "What is that?" And I told him, and he seemed interested. And I think that's more of a musician than John would ever be. He would not ask me what that was. He would tell me what it is. You know what I mean?
So the fact that Corey Feldman was interested in a musical instrument.
That's
is enough
more
for
than
him to
John
be a
has.
Better musician.
I mean, I can't stand when people lean their guitars against walls, let alone don't change the strings for decades and
Play
try
the chord.
and tune it.
Oh God, it's so bad. I've never actually played the chord.
There it is.
I have. I think it was Adam Thoreau figured it out.
Yes.
And sent it to me. I got to bring my guitar down here one of these days.
The fact that I can recognize that chord in and out of context, but I don't know a lot of Beatles intros is not cool.
Hi, Shuli. Hi, Shules. You're the best. I'll let him know. Thank you for being a member for 3 months. The 495 Marauder. Kumia back home on broadcast radio is a victory for all of us in the Dabbleverse. FSJ, Karl. It's Let's Do It, Opie. Karl is Let's Do It. Opie's a loser. TSN for life. Where's Lucy's Melons? She was just on WATP this past weekend. You'll see her
That
up
was an
on-
incredible episode. That Neil Gaiman stuff is so good and so interesting.
I agree. I found it fascinating. We reviewed a podcast that interviews all of these quote unquote victims of Neil Gaiman, and they have a very salacious story that they're kind of the only ones covering it and drawing attention to this, and they couldn't be doing a worse job.
It was so boring the way they did it.
They're so boring the way that they're presenting this stuff, but they're sitting at gold.
I think when people become obsessed with a case, They just want like ASMR 24/7. And they already know all the details, and there are no more details out. But sometimes if you listen to every single podcast on the topic, you get one or two new details. And I think they're passively they want to live in that world. They want to just constantly be immersed in it, and they are providing that because it is like every text and every message. It's laborious, but I guess if those times when I'm listening, I can't judge because I'll listen to like Eric the Actor 12-hour fun party mix. And
Right.
That's not helping anything.
Iso Doe with $2 says, Shuli, got your letter in payment. Thanks, bud. Miss ya. Those jokes are still landing. Diablo Sandwich, these 2 shows are his package for Midas Touch. Maybe it is. Maybe he's auditioning.
Maybe.
Grant Heberger, Shuli, your thin-skinned man banned wife and me on TSN.
That's Brian Karam's kid, isn't it?
Karl, masterful job at making this piece of shit show interesting. Thank you, big fan. That's what I'm here for. Joseph Collins, $5 says, John encounters are more authentic than woke dads. Slightly, yes. I believe
There's a
he
hint
was at
of
a
truth.
bar. Yeah,
There's a hint of truth.
Maybe he was at a bar with the guy telling him to shut the fuck up. Clyde coming in with $20. I appreciate that very much. I'll give you
Autistic
a...
shock.
Sorry, go ahead.
L. Ron Hubbard, creator of Scientology, was a sci-fi writer that practiced Freemasonry and... what is that?
Thelema?
Thelema, Aleister Crowley's occult sex magic. Thelema also inspired Anton Levy's Church of Satan and many in Hollywood. All of that is true. All of it.
Are you saying that's a fact, Jack?
That is a fact, Jack.
I didn't know that about L. Ron Hubbard. Big Daddy Dodo. Hello, Jenny.
Hello, Big Daddy Dodo.
Troy Smith, member for 5 months. The artist analogy was good, but children lack experience, so their idea of art is pure expression with no level of technique. John is 60. FM.
I agree.
That's a good point.
No, Troy's great. Troy, of course, the artist that's done so many of the things that are behind me on the wall. He's really, his art is the background of the Dabbleverse. I'm disappointed that Adam's not in our studio today. Couldn't be bothered.
I'll continue to let you down in many other ways, too. Don't worry.
I appreciate that, buddy. Big fan gifted 5. Who are these podcasts? Thank you very much, big fan. And I'll just remind people, turn on accept gifts and memberships or purchase a membership because we will be doing a bonus show tomorrow afternoon, Living in the Past with Stuttering John, going back to the episode in 2018 of his podcast, him and Roy celebrating their big victory of the phone call to Donald Trump. I believe it's also going to include Secret Service going to John's house and John trying to avoid them and hide from them. Such a child.
So John.
Yep. So that's going to happen tomorrow on this channel. And of course, Who Are These Podcasts is back on Wednesday with the great Adam Busch and producer Chris. That'll be happening Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern for everyone to come on and enjoy along with us. Closing thoughts, closing remarks, Adam.
I think that chatter said it earlier. The less of him we see, the more of him there is to analyze. And I think we got to cherish these times because when you listen to that Eric stuff, you forget. People hated him. He made them so angry. They wanted him to die. And when you hear people being really comfortable telling this poor disabled boy how much they wish he would die or get crushed by the weight of some stripper and mean it, it sounds so horrible, but it's where we're at. He was asking for it. He knew what he was getting into. And it's the same thing with John. I think a renaissance is happening right now. And it can go on for a long, long time. And it's going to end very suddenly. And that's going to be the time. That's going to be the time where we're needed the most. Everyone needs the cover band once the original band goes away.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. Like I said, clipping John's political show, I have a bunch of his stand-up on the board too that I had ready to go. I didn't realize I'd be as interested as I was in this political show. I want to dig more into this because we're learning about a side of John that we don't analyze enough.
Especially once you know his friends have all checked out and turned on him and you can see it as you're watching it. It's enjoyable. It's a bit of that Clay element where they're playing both sides.
You pointed that out well. Jenny Jingles, thanks for being here.
Well, thanks for having me.
Everyone loves when you're on the show.
Well, I love being on the show, so.
All right. Well, with that, I think we're going to call it a day. So I want to thank Shuli for coming on, of course, always being my co-host on Point Dabble Point, the great Adam Busch, and, of course, Jen from the Jingles department. Guys, we'll see you tomorrow.
Point Dabble Point.